beat to your own drummer. Go out fighting, go out young. A flash of lightning clips the sun. Last chance, last summer. Your last dance, beat to your own drummer. Go out fighting, go out young. Flash of lightning clips the sun. Brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself. Your last chance, last summer.
Well, hello there, everyone. Greetings from Antarctica. My name is the Unorthodox Individual, and I am here to review the top 10 worst hit songs of 2020, as is pretty much tradition at the end of the year on YouTube for every critic of any sort. But the thing is, this is only a worst list by default. Yeah, in spite of literally everything else about the entire world, the popular music of 2020 was surprisingly really good. I don't really know how else to express it other than the fact that just every single genre seemed to flourish positively this year. Obviously, there was still music that just flat out wasn't good, but most of it either didn't make the year-end list or was just relatively ignorable. Yes, 2020 was the year that mediocre became bad. In most years, artists are able to escape worst lists by simply being mediocre and not being terrible enough or offensive enough or anything enough to be worthy of scorn. But this year, the bar was set so high that that just isn't an option. My rules for the year-end lists are that if it made Billboard's year-end list, it counts, or if it charted for, like, I don't know, like a long period of time or had some sort of major significance on the charts, it also counts. I will also only allow one non-year-end hit on both the best and worst list as a proper entry. And with that, I think we've burned enough time, so let's just get straight into the top 10 worst hit songs of 2020. Thank God this is finally over.
Slide, slide in the Bentley trucker, the reef trucker, your bestie is a dick sucker. I big duffer. Assalamu alaikum, you big hater.
Honestly, by far the hardest part of making this entire list was, well, one, deciding the order, and two, just having to choose between a whole bunch of just incredibly mediocre songs that I have next to, like, nothing to say about, or that I just can't get angry at. And if I can't get angry on the worst list, then what is the point? Well, obviously the point would just be to continue criticizing it as you would normally if you weren't angry, but still. I guess my point is that while I don't hate this first song, I do think that it is the biggest disappointment out of any song on this list. Now, obviously this song is not terrible, so let's start with the positives. First off, Juice WRLD.
Sipping on this Tennessee. Once you were my friend, now you turn into my enemy.
While I don't think that Jared sounds particularly good here, he does definitely fit the aesthetic and overall, like, tone a lot more than, yeah, I guess, Melly does in a sense. Probably because Melly just always kind of sings like he has, like, a smile on his face and something up his nose, whereas Juice WRLD's, like, really kind of sloppy crooning is, I guess, much more fitting for a song with this subject matter. For the most part, anyway.
20 make a strong shotty. Gripping post, catch your new little nigga in his own shotty. I'ma blow.
Yeah, this whole part kind of feels a little bit off. That's honestly my biggest problem with the song. There are just so many parts where both vocalists just do these inflections that just make everything feel slightly off. The tone feels off, the atmosphere feels off, the entire message of the song honestly just feels off. It's like they were aiming for some sort of mixture of lucid dreams and sad, and honestly the song kind of ends up in that realm of quality that you would expect it to. It takes the monotonous and relatively flat nature of lucid dreams combined with the really iffy use of the concept of suicide from sad, and it just kind of end up in a weird middle ground where it's just really, really dull for the most part. Notice how I said for the most part.
I'm sipping Hennessy, ooh. I'm sipping Hennessy, ooh.
It's just all these little moments like that that just pile up and drag this song down significantly. It certainly doesn't help that the song doesn't really pick up the pace at any point, and it kind of just stays at a relatively flat momentum throughout the entire thing, and it's not really a short song either, so it just kind of becomes a slog to get through. Once you've heard like the first minute and a half, you kind of get the general idea, and you don't really get any new musical ideas or anything to really stimulate you and make you want to return to it over and over again. Like, if you listen to the first minute and a half, why would you listen to the rest of the song? I guess I should have just expected wasted potential considering what YMW Melly did on the third verse of Murder on My Mind last year. Oh, and you may have noticed that I sound really bored while talking about this song. Yeah, that's pretty much sums up my entire feeling about the song and the song's quality. Although it does say a lot about Juice WRLD that even though this is his worst year-end hit, he's still the best part of it, so I guess compliments to Jared. Rest in peace, man.
Ridicule when you play me like a fool.
You nothing but a hater, cloud chaser. Now we catch him at the chicken spot, pop a couple chops, pop that nigga with 100 shots.
Now I know this might shock some of you, but I am a pretty simple man. Maybe a little bit too simple. Now normally this is just kind of a thing that exists, but in 2020 apparently it's a qualifier to have a massive hit single.
But if the world was ending, you come over, right? You come over and you stay the night.
I cannot believe that we let Julia Michaels have 2 hits this year. I really thought that we had made the wise and correct decision to leave her in 2017, but I guess I was proven wrong by 2020. Needless to say, she still can't sing, and she still brings absolutely nothing to the table on any song that she's on. Reminds me of me, but pandering will not get you anywhere in Worst List season. But Julia Michaels is already widely disliked, so let's discuss the other half of this song.
I know, we know you weren't down for forever and it's fine.
I swear this JP Sax guy is like the musical equivalent of cardboard, conveying no personality and just basically being a voice box to express the sentiment of the song. But in this song, there really is no sentiment, it's just 2 people singing about the same really lame scenario. The world is barely even ending in the damn song, and they acknowledge it.
It didn't scare me when the earthquake happened, but it really got me thinking.
So yeah, the song pretty much serves absolutely no purpose. It's not a devastating breakup song about love at the end of the world or anything of that nature, and it honestly just kind of exists to fill airtime, or at least that's what I'm assuming it did during 2020, considering it stuck around for so fucking long. Honestly, I just kind of hate that this song became relevant because of the pandemic. Like, it's not specifically capitalizing on it since it came out before, but the circumstances just happened to align and make this a thing. And I really wish that this wasn't a thing. Middle school diary poetry is not something that I want to be a mainstay on the charts. But with the success of ballads like these, I feel like it's just going to keep happening. At least one of them probably every year. And the last thing I'm gonna need in the years to come is this miserable, like, slow piano dirge with no actual substance, just destroying the radio waves. I don't even listen to the radio, but, like, I can feel like this is gonna be really annoying for a lot of people. And for me, it's just gonna be worst list fodder over and over again, and it's gonna get tiresome. The biggest compliment I can pay this song, honestly, is that Julia Michaels sings better here than she usually does, and that, well, yeah, no, that's it. This song is just a really mediocre slice of absolutely nothing, by 2 artists who have the combined personality of a Home Depot box. And it's on the list primarily because it was just one of the last things that I needed to hear this year, and in a year like this, Mediocre just does not cut it, like I said earlier. At this point, I just take the actual world ending over this. I mean, at least that's exciting. Next.
If the world was ending, you come over right.
Hey, that nigga diddy bob, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. He thought we was dumb knuckle up, bitch. I don't box, and these niggas always talking shite. Yada yada yada.
So this year was quite the polarizing year for remixes, huh?
Back with the remix. These boys are my sons like Phoenix.
One of the things that I noticed about 2020 throughout the year was the staggering amount of remixes that we got. I mean, just looking at the top quarter of the year-end list alone should give you a good gauge on just how prevalent the remixes were. I even featured one of them on this list already. But in this year of remixes, there were only 2 that I could find that completely and totally missed the point of the songs, one of which was this disaster. This is technically one of the biggest country hits in years. Thanks, America.
And when you're leaning for a kiss, I hope you both feel sparks by the end of the travel. You know she's the one by the end of the night.
Honestly, I have nothing more to add to this beyond what I already said in my fall top 20 ranking. Just go watch that video if you want my more in-depth thoughts on it. But just to do a quick summary of things, Charlie Puth adds absolutely nothing, and all he does is complicate the narrative. He is completely pointless, and I have no idea why anyone thought it was a good idea to put him on this song. You know, if the people who made this were competent, they would have put him in a position in the song, as a character and playing the person who Gabby Barrett was singing about in the original, I hope, or something along those lines. But no, they didn't do that. He just sings the same chorus as her, and it kind of just sounds like 2 people singing the same thing. Kind of like If the World Was Ending, except this time it's worse because it's a revenge song, but it doesn't work as a duet at all. It makes no sense, honestly. I already went into depth in this in my fall ranking. Once again, I'll just link you to that. But Jesus Christ, it's just so mind-bogglingly stupid. I don't get this decision at all. So yeah, all in all, I really do like the original song, but this is the version that made the year-end list, and as such, it is eligible for this list, and I'm putting it on here because it is easily one of the most pointless and needless remixes, of any song ever, maybe. Nobody asked for this, nobody wanted this, nobody needed this. What a waste of a good song. Next.
When you see me, what you talking about? What you talking about? Niggas always wanna chase cloud, bitch. I am cloud. Tell him get up out my face now, for I agree.
So apparently, according to a Mr. Sean Fay Wolf of Diamond X Studios, it is lame if you put this song on your list. And you know what, honestly, I agree. But also,
Fuck you, and you, and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too.
yeah, this is a pretty obvious pick. I can completely see why Sean would think it would be super lame to put it on the list. I honestly agree with him, but that doesn't change the fact that the song is still not good.
This that who's all there. I'm pulling up with an emo chick that's broken.
Now, I can't speak for everyone, but personally, I view this song as a bit of a disjointed and cobbled together mess of obnoxious sentiments. It's almost comically self-aware of how unlikable it is, but the tone and shitty lyrics make everything feel smug to the point where it's less of a channeling of pent-up emotion rightfully delivered in a satisfying fuck you, and more just Black Bear being a complete asshole and feeling proud of himself for it, taking his anger out on everyone and everything. That's not fun, and that's not insightful, that's just annoying. But despite that, I completely understand why this song was so polarizing. I'm sure to some people it did resonate as the effective and satisfyingly frustrated fuck you that many people echoed the same sentiment of this year, and to others it probably just came across as whiny and utterly unlikable to the point where it simply isn't enjoyable to listen to. I get both perspectives, and personally I lean more towards the latter. I mean, it is on the worst list after all, but I don't think the song is complete garbage or anything. It's bad for all the reasons I described, but I occasionally get kind of swept up in the catchiness and bluntness of the hook. There's something oddly hypnotizing about the messy and slapdash production, mediocre mixing, shitty vocals, and utter contempt the song radiates. Whether that's a good or bad thing is up to the individual. I mean, it sounds like a bad thing on paper, I suppose. But to me, it pretty much just falls completely flat and facepalms harder than 6ix9ine's entire career. obvious pick is obvious, but you know, sometimes things are obvious because they're right. I mean, it's not like any of this is really hidden by the song. It hits you over the head with it right away.
Fuck you and you and you.
Well, I mean, that's the least you could say. It doesn't waste time getting to the point. You know exactly what the song is going to be in the first 2 seconds. However, once you've heard the first 2 seconds, there's really no reason to listen to the rest of the song. It's basically just that on repeat for 3 minutes. And throw in some middle school level lyrics just to make everything that much more annoying. Actually, I take that back. Actual middle schoolers could come up with better lyrics than this. Certainly doesn't help that Black Bear is like 30. I mean, geez. This whole song just reeks of try hard to me. And it's no surprise that so many people consider this to be pretty much everything wrong with music in 2020 at this point. And while it might be a pretty lame and obvious pick for a worst list, honestly, it really does deserve it, and I can't think of many other songs from this year that I disliked more. Well, I can. They're further up on this list, obviously, or they didn't make the year-end list, but this is still pretty bottom tier for this year. So in conclusion, fuck this song.
It's that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention.
Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? Play me like a dummy. Like, bitch, are you dumb? Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb?
Hi, everyone. And it's time for a review of the new Sam Hunt LP, South Side.
I think we all know where this is going.
You've got a cold heart and cold hard truth.
Now I know what you're thinking. How could you possibly justify putting a song that was number 69 on the year-end list, on the worst list? And don't worry, I promise I have a thorough explanation that's entirely my own and not plagiarized at all. I'm gonna give it to you right now.
After this, we are off to the races with the track Hard to Forget, where we get smashed with a literal trap beat sampling some old dusty Tear in Your Beer country. That is then topped with some slick electric guitar lines, some plucky banjo too, and damn, it is a real rap country fusion. So the production on this track is kind of fire. Unfortunately, it's attached to a crap song with major creepo lyrics.
Yep. Honestly, that's pretty much how I feel about it. The song's production pretty much sounds like a car accident. It's still not great. It's fine for what it is, but eh. The production is far from the worst thing about this song, though. That would be the lyrics.
Ain't it funny how I can't seem to get away from you? It's almost like you don't want me to.
Like, bruh, this is some Discord mod level shit. What is he even talking about? You know, I think Sam Hunt just really isn't good at this whole writing words thing now, is he? I mean, what do we expect from a guy whose biggest hit is literally called Body Like a Back Road, where he compares some woman's body to back road. So yeah, needless to say, we probably should have expected some pretty terrible lyrics coming from this guy. Sam Hunt just has this knack for making extremely horny songs, and usually they're super like manipulative or just incredibly stupid. One of the two. And this is unfortunately a case of the former, which is the worst one. And he's no stranger to doing these types of songs. One of his hits from 2015 is like this. But there the tone was very sinister, whereas here it's super chipper and upbeat, which is a real disconnect. It makes no sense. And something I find exceptionally weird about this is that this isn't even the only song on the year-end list that does this. Morgan Wallen's Chasing You also has weirdly manipulative and creepy lyrics, and yet it's very like laid back and smooth sounding. It's so weird. Like, if I had a nickel for every song on the 2020 year-end list with creepy lyrics and a beat that didn't match them, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So yeah, this song's lyrics are very bad, and they pretty much taint the entire thing. But, you know, that's pretty much the worst of it. It doesn't really get any worse, right?
Wrong!
That right there, that use of the sample chopped up and just thrown in there, it's so mind-bogglingly dumb. I can't fathom why they thought that was a good idea. It doesn't improve the sound, it doesn't add any like layered texture, it doesn't add any enhanced meaning. It's literally just thrown in there and it sounds completely out of place. Most of the rest of the production, like I said earlier, it's fine. It's a little rinky-dink and all over the place, but it's okay for what it is. I will say that the drums, I think, are mixed a little too high, and Sam Hunt, I don't know why, but his voice sounds kind of hoarse here for some reason. I really just can't pinpoint what I don't like about that, but eh. If I had to touch on a part of the song that I actually do like, that would be the pre-chorus. Even if it does have to come after that awful use of the sample,
Ain't it funny how I can't seem to get away from you? It's almost like you don't want me to.
despite Sam being a grade A SIMP in the lyrics, I do think the melody is pretty nice, and the production actually feels a lot more subdued than it does in the much more intense chorus. I also think it has a really nice build-up, but the rest of the song, yeah, no thank you. To close off this segment, I'm going to have to politely ask that Sam Hunt simply stop making music, because if your songs can be summed up like this, then I think it's safe to say you should definitely stop. Only ultra giga chads are allowed to listen to Sam Hunt from now on. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Boy, was this exhausting. In final conclusion,
Oh, honey, I'm falling apart. You're playing hard to forget.
and that is going to be it for part 1 of the worst hit songs of 2020. Thank you for tuning in. Part 2 is coming in like, I don't know, maybe 15 years whenever I get around to it. If you've actually stuck around this long, please follow me on Twitter, and obviously do the like and the yes, subscribe, yada yada. Return to Monkey, and stay being alive. I mean, 2020 is not over yet. Please stay alive. Yo, alive rhymes with subscribe. Okay, I'll go now.
The world has progressed past the need for cars. Return to monkey.